So I've really been enjoying this exercise of taking a shape in 4 notes and really just trying to get some voice leading happening. You could certainly do 3 notes if that's easier to start with, but I've just been starting with a very simple triadic shape. And it's a good way to explore different colors. And I think when you do this, you know, there's so much thinking involved in this music, and that's good. It can be very academic, but I also want you to feel your way through this exercise as well, because I think it's really nice to experience the colors and the changes and the feel that can happen just by moving different voices around. So, for example, I was starting with a B triad, doubling the root. Of course, you know, we can undouble that if we like, and we could just do 3 voices. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 voices, and feel free to try this with me. So we have sort of like a Bach chorale, right? We have S, A, T, B. Those would probably be a little bit more spread out to be correctly in those registers, but we'll start roughly with the 4 voice concept here. So I'm just going to move the inner voice. We talk a lot about inner voice motion, especially with players like Bill Evans, Brad Meldau, Fred Hirsch, his teacher, of course, a master of this. If you want to learn this stuff, listen to Fred Hirsch. But let's just get the inner voice moving, and let's just see what different vibes we can create by just moving one voice. And I'm not even using a very sophisticated jazz chord. But as I heard some guys saying recently, don't sleep on triads, because, you know, if you do something really elaborate, and you land on a triad, it gives some nice harmonic tension and release. So we'll kind of be exploring that idea with just a simple triad, the feeling of tension and release. Just moving it one voice at a time. Of course, you can do all 4. Fred Hirsch does this amazingly well. I'm just going to see what different colors I get by going either inside or outside of the B major scale. I really enjoy the B major scale. It fits the hand really well. You know, the combination of white and black notes. So we'll start there. And we can even start just by moving different voices around. You know, it doesn't really matter which position you're in here. Let's start by moving the voices in the key of B, or just one voice in the middle, rather. It's nice whenever you do a harmonic exercise, and this is kind of a composition exercise, I think, as well. And something I've heard all of the greats say, all of my great teachers say, is that there's real strength in limitation when you write. Because writing, it's like staring at the ocean. It's like, wow, if I rowed my boat, I could go here, there, anywhere. So pick a direction, pick a limitation. In this case, you could say a key. And 4 voices, those are all limitations. And then moving one voice, that's a pretty strict limitation, right? Now I could move 2 and we'll open it up, of course. But I'm just going to start with one voice, the inner voice moving, one of the inner voices, the bottom inner voice. Now that I've moved it diatonically, if you like, that's a little weird stretch, but you can do that. Now let's go non-diatonic. So this thumb line, as they often called it, like in the Broadway era, is going to move in and outside of the key. So any of these notes that are outside of the key of B are also now in play. And again, yes, you can think your way through this, but I want you to feel how the emotion and the color changes, because that will help guide you into more of a deeper sound, quite frankly, and more of an emotional process that guides a composition, because of course composition is about limitation, but also about tension and release. So, for example, wow, okay, that's pretty tense. How would that resolve? Okay, what about something really weird? right? So I could literally count my options that I have, right? So I'm sort of bounded by, these upper voices and then the moving voice. So any note basically from here to the octave where I am here on D could be in play. So you really have 12 notes, in between that you can play with. Now, you don't want to get too large of a spread between your voices. Like if I did something like this, right? We have like a ninth, a second plus an octave. Try to keep like a sixth, I think is a good guideline. That makes it sound more cohesive and not like two separated instruments. Although if you like that effect, you can definitely do that. So let's try any of these voices now. Any of these possible positions for this voice would be a better way to say it. Even with this pretty strict limitation, there's still a lot of freedom and a lot of color and a lot of choices, and I'm creating this little harmonic universe even just in the key of B. It's a good exercise that does the compositional things that we described, but it also allows you to just explore creating a mini composition with different colors, different options, knowing you could even, I got a little obsessed with this kind of thing for a while, and I did every single note that was possible, for instance. So even you could do that. Scrunch Town. Definitely a cool voice. Now, huge gap there, but that's okay. We'll just really make this a clear exercise with any of the notes in between here and here. And it's almost like after a while I would start to assign a color, or you could do a number or an adjective, like that's like staring directly into the sun or whatever. The description doesn't really matter, but leading with your feeling does. Now we're going to have different feelings, and that's the beautiful thing. You're going to, Monk probably thought that was beautiful. Somebody else might go, oh, no way. Okay, well, the choices that you make are going to show us who you are through your composition. So that's great news. Okay, so that's bright. That's pretty settled. That's also pretty harsh. It's beautiful in its own harsh way. Monk had the tune Ugly Beauty, so there's both beauty and, tension in this. And then I might ask myself, okay, in between these two voices that I just did that were more scrunchy sounding, is one more tense than the other? And you could even give it like a number, numbering system. Okay, that's like a 10 on the scale. Maybe that's an 8, or this is, harsh sunlight. That's harsh sunlight, but you have sunglasses on. However you want to describe it, you can get as weird and creative as you want to. That's very clear. It's like clear water. That's a little more settled, perhaps. These are my descriptions. Okay, that dominant seventh, that's kind of a brighter sound again. That's really quite settled. Okay, interesting. So the non-diatonic notes are going to pull the tension out a little bit more. Sometimes not, maybe. That's probably the most settled. So this was really settled. To me, that's even more settled. So I'm making note of the emotion always. And then, of course, whoa. Now, that's pretty scrunchy, but let me compare it to my other scrunches. That's really, really intense. That's maybe the most intense. That's intense, but it has a little beauty to it, and it's a little more calm, actually, in my ear. Again, these are very subjective choices. And maybe that's the most calm for me. Now, we're getting, again, a little far afield from the two voices in the middle being close to each other, but this is actually really nice voicing. That feels pretty settled, but it feels a little bit more nostalgic or something. It feels, again, we talked about this in our lesson, Tom, like when you have a basic triad, Meldau will do this a lot, and you add the fourth, adds an emotion to, you know, the relative simplicity of the emotion of a triad, major triad. Pretty happy, pretty chill. That adds some nostalgia or a little bit of angst, but it's still happy, but it's maybe a little sad too. Putting it down there, interesting, right? Or like that rather, seeing as we're doing 4 voices. So again, always keep the emotion in mind. We think so much as we do this, but you know, we can certainly feel our way through these exercises. The next idea from there would also be to do 2 voices moving. Let's change our voicing just a little bit here as well. Let's maybe do this. Certainly you can do the same notes, different keys. So let's move these 2 inner voices. We're going to be fairly limited because we only have a 10th. I can move them both in lockstep, parallel. Wow, okay. Again, making note of the emotion as I do this. Then you could do 3 voices. Move those all around, keeping that 1 voice on the bottom. And then 4 voices, you know, just gradually expand it. And you can see all the different colors. I mean, your palette really expands once you have 3 voices moving. And you don't have to move them all in lockstep. You could start, you know, staggering the voices. Moving them at different times. That really gives you a feeling of counterpoint. So a good place to start compositionally and just sort of feeling your way through things.
Hey, Noah here. Just want to let you know really quick that most of the content you're actually seeing on this channel is coming from completely free masterclasses that we've been holding. So if you actually want to join and be a part of those masterclasses, again, it's totally free. Click one of the links in the description that will give you access to free resources, free courses, and of course the free masterclasses. And as soon as you're on the email list, you will be one of the first people to know when we are holding these masterclasses. And on top of that, you get lots of free sheet music and videos and resources as well. So highly recommend you sign up. You can also join our free online community, which is in Discord, in a server there. So you can click the link down there for that as well. And we are on there interacting, hanging out, giving people feedback and advice, as well as on the free masterclasses, Zoom hangs, and feedback sessions. So again, highly recommend you get signed up, and I will see you there.